Today, I'm going to show you how to make an easy dessert for your next holiday party or just to eat at home. This is a strawberry cheesecake trifle that I saw on social media and I had to try it. This is the original poster or where I got the inspiration to make this from. You can check her out, Eat with Jada. Now, I am going to sort of simplify it because in the original poster's recipe, they make a pound cake from scratch. I'm using cake mix. This is a 13-ounce box of French vanilla cake mix. Use vanilla. You could even use yellow cake. I'm going to put this into a large bowl, and I'm just going to follow the package ingredients. Well, actually, here it calls for 1 cup of water, a 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, and 3 eggs. You definitely can use that. But what I'm going to do is sub the 1/3 cup of cooking oil for 2/3 cup of butter and the 1 cup of water with milk. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding all the ingredients and give this a mix. Or you can follow the original poster's recipe and make a pound cake from scratch. Okay, so everything going into the cake mix. And essentially, I'm just going to mix and combine well. Also, you'll want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit while you're doing this. Here I have a 9x13 baking pan that I've lightly oiled. And essentially, I am going to be breaking apart the cake, so I don't need it to come out perfectly. So I'm just going to pour this into my cake pan. And here I'm just going to spread it out evenly. I notice when I sub the oil for butter, it kind of makes the consistency of the cake batter a lot thicker, but gosh, it tastes so good afterwards. Okay. I'm going to bake this for about 26 minutes in a preheated oven, and here I'm going to prep my strawberries. I'm going to be using 1 pound of fresh strawberries, and I'm just going to clean these up and slice them. Okay, so I'm going to macerate the strawberries. Now they're all sliced. I'm going in with about 2 tablespoons of sugar, and the original poster added lemon juice, freshly squeezed lemon juice. I'm going with some balsamic vinegar because I used this in a recipe once and I just can't go back. It's so good, but definitely use lemon juice. I'm going for like 2 teaspoons to a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. And if you have it, give it a try. I like it. Some people might find it odd, but it really goes well together. So I'm just going to give this a mix and let these hang out until a lot of the natural juices from the strawberries release and get kind of syrupy. So good. Okay, so my cake is done. I'm going to place it here to let it cool. And while that's cooling, I want to show you what the strawberries look like. Now, if you really want a lot of syrup with the strawberries, I suggest using fresh squeezed lemon juice and sugar to your taste, but this will work for today. Okay, so for the cake. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. I'm just going to start sort of crumbling and cutting the cake into cubes. Actually, I kind of started here making these lines, but then I realized, let me just take half of the cake out of the pan, and the remainder of the cake, I'm just going to chop that up, and that'll be the first layer. Okay, so I'm going to make the vanilla cheesecake topping or filling. This is one of the layers. So 1 8-ounce block of cream cheese that's softened, and I started doing this with a whisk, but I do suggest going into this, just use your electric mixer, your hand mixer. That's just going to work a lot better. Here's a 3.4-ounce package of vanilla jello. I'm going to shake that into the cream cheese. And like I said, I started using this hand whisk because, you know, I was lazy. I didn't want to get my electric hand mixer, but you definitely need to mix it with that because if not, everything's just going to be clumpy. So this recipe calls for 2 cups of milk, and this is where I knew things just were not going to mix well. I added the first cup, and when you have warm, softened cream cheese and you add cold milk, that's going to make it lumpy again. So electric hand mixer here, and going in with the 2nd cup of milk. And you're just going to combine this until it is smooth and combined well. Okay, so this is where I want it to be. So now I'm going to add an 8-ounce container of whipped topping. Now if you want to spring for some heavy cream and mix that yourself and add it in, that'll make this even more decadent, but this was very convenient for me to just use the ready-made Cool Whip topping. So I'm adding it in, and then I'm going to use my whisk and just combine well. Oh, and by the way, be sure to check the description below. I will list the ingredients and measurements of this recipe that I made today. Clearly, I went rogue and strayed from the original, but I think it's going to work. So I have my first layer of cake down, so I'm going to pour half of this mixture on top, and then I'm just going to evenly spread it on top of all of that cake. And essentially this is how you build the trifle. You could also do this in one of those little fancy like glass trifle bowls. So now I'm just going to spread out 1 layer or half of the strawberries on top of the mixture, and you repeat the process. And I want everyone to know, as I started to build this trifle, everyone started circling around me in the household, and I had to remind them that no, it has to set. But honestly, if you make this and you want to dig right in, I'm not telling anyone, do you? But yeah, I'm gonna build this trifle and layer it and then pop it into the fridge for an hour. This is a great make-ahead dessert if you're going to a party or a gathering. I definitely would make this ahead of time. So I'm gonna pour the rest of this mixture. This is like the last layer of the mixture, and I'm gonna scrape the bowl here. Okay, let's be real. I'm going to leave some of the stuff in the bowl because my son wants to eat it. But anywho, I will do the best I can. And then I'm just going to spread this. This will be the last layer of this cheesecake vanilla pudding mixture. Honestly, this mixture also works great for banana pudding. I know a lot of people do that as well. They add like the cream cheese or the heavy cream with the pudding mix. That also makes a decadent banana pudding dessert. So there's that. Okay, going in with some of the crumbles of the cake, I kind of reserve that. That's kind of like a garnish. And then I'm going to go in with the rest of these strawberries. And that's it. And I actually should have poured most of that strawberry syrup on the bottom layer. I just didn't think to do that, but you definitely can, so it kind of soaks into the cake. I let it set in the fridge for an hour, and my husband was like, nope, I want this now. So there's that. Like I said, you could eat it right away if your family wants it. So I'm just going to dig in. I will add that the less time you let it set in the fridge, by the time you serve it, if it's not set completely, the slices aren't going to come out perfectly, but it's still going to taste really, really good. So I hope you give this recipe a try. I hope you like it, and thanks for watching.